Hello, Steve White, TREKProdigy89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, season 3 of Star Trek Prodigy has been cancelled at Netflix. No, it was never going to happen. It was never renewed. It was never greenlit. It was never going to be produced there. I don't know who made this story up and how it kept going. And now they've written this fake end to this renewed show that didn't exist. It's bizarre. Okay, so Star Trek Prodigy was on Paramount Plus, and after the first season, they cancelled it because no one watched it and it was just costing money keeping it on the platform, so they scraped it off the platform like something unpleasant and they sold it to Netflix because that's what Netflix does. Aside from making their own content, they also buy content from other people, cable networks, network TV, other streaming services that have had a show and the contract's running out and now they take it on and hope to get new subscribers. That's how it works. They buy new shows so new people hopefully come to their platform and subscribe to watch shows they haven't seen before or weren't available to them before. That's what they do. And just because they take on a show that's been recently cancelled doesn't mean they're committing to continuing the production or that they've renewing it or they've greenlit it or anything like that. And I don't know how this story happened and how it kept going. And now we've got these people who've just lived in denial for the last year or so saying, "Oh, now it's been cancelled." It never existed. Season 3 never existed. It can't be cancelled. It's just bizarre. Now, my understanding was they bought the shows for just 18 months each, and this whole story is because they've announced the departure dates, because they often announce when a show's leaving so people make sure to watch it before it's gone. Season 1 is departing Netflix on June 24th, 2025, so like in a bit more than a month, and Season 2 is going to depart Netflix on January 1st, 2026. So they'll basically put it on the platforms about 6 months apart for 18 months. That's all the contract was. There was no season 2, no season 3. The production companies have been disbanded. The people have moved on. There was some hope, of course, from the producer. It was really unfair to give fans any hope that there would be another show just by suggesting, well, maybe if everyone watches it, they'll make a 4th season. That wasn't the contract. It's just... So, yeah. Now, apparently the show only got about... Both seasons, the whole thing only got about 3.4 million viewers in that 18 months or so. So that's pretty low. That's pretty bad. It didn't. I guess they thought they had a bigger platform, more subscribers. Maybe it would catch on and find a new fan base, a following. It never did. Now, another thing people don't seem to understand is how a lot of animated shows are sold. Basically, what they do is a lot of the time they'll just commission a batch of episodes, and that can be just shown as a one-off season to launch like a toy brand or something, and if it does well, maybe they'll renew a second season, much like regular TV and that. Or they'll just get a show and they'll split it up, and like they had this 1 year of working on this show, and then they'll split that up into like 5, 10, however many episodes, like 2 or 3 seasons or something, and then it'll air over a few years, and they'll talk about them like they're separate seasons. A season of a show is a show that's made in the course of a year. That's it. You can't make a show in 1 year, split it up into 4 different parts and say, oh, it's 4 seasons of a show. No, it has to have been produced for 4 years. It drives me nuts when they do that. They did that with She-Ra. They said it was 5 seasons when they just split up an order for 52 episodes into like 5 seasons. So yeah, it only got 1 year. Basically, it got 1 year, of being produced, and then it was cancelled, and there was still 20 episodes being finished off. They sold that to Netflix, and Netflix got to air new episodes, basically, not just, moving the old ones, but also having new ones, which I guess enticed them on some level. But that was it. It was never going to be anything more than that. It was never going to be a thing. And it's just the denial or the deception of people who are telling other fans and releasing stories and that like the show was renewed and it was going to be produced, and now they're lying that it was cancelled to try and save face. Like it was never. It's just bizarre. So yeah. So as far as the show itself goes, it wasn't bad. For a Star Wars show or a general science fiction show, it was decent. I mean, to the point that Star Wars actually copied it for Skeleton Crew. But basically it was a show with no Starfleet officers, no real starship. They had a little ship that was like the Millennium Falcon that, went into atmospheres and landed on space and dropped the, cargo doors for people to come on and off, just like the Millennium Falcon. And the people were all a bunch of aliens that were kids, and they were just like a ragtag bag of rebels, and there was nothing Starfleet about it, nothing Star Trek about it. I mean, the acting, the writing, the characterizations were good. The stories were okay. The visuals, the planets, when there weren't people on screen, when it was just ships and things, it looked beautiful. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't Star Trek. So Star Trek fans didn't watch it, and new fans didn't find it, and it got cancelled. And the worst thing they did was they split it into 4 parts, but didn't do 4 seasons. So they did 2 seasons split in 2 parts of 10 episodes. So you had to wait a year for the second half of season 1. I'm like, why not just call it season 2? So everything about it just was a mess. It was badly handled. It was doomed from the start because it wasn't a Star Trek series, but it was being sold as Star Trek. And then they messed up the actual release and everything, and it's gone. It was never going to be a season 3, so just let it go. Have some dignity.